Apparently, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Facebook Live and YouTube Live in for our workshop with Ronnie Fraser. Ronnie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am absolutely excellent. Absolutely. I'm just grabbing something here. What I was going to say to you, you're running the workshop on the.
Oh, sorry. I'm just checking if we're actually live, Did you check?
Yeah, just YouTube just told me.
Okay, good. No, just from experience, because I've done it before, and then I'm talking for like 15 minutes, and then people are like, "Hello, are you actually there?"
So, I can actually see us on Facebook as well. So there you go.
Fantastic. Please do carry on. Sorry about that.
We'll keep going there.
Professional hazard.
Absolutely. And somebody's even just ticked to say hi. Okay. So we're going to do the workshop on the 7th.
7th.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
So the workshop is on narcissistic abuse and how to recover from it. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So it's basically really about the recovery. It's about gaining tools, practical tools to move the recovery forward. So it's not about the deep dive therapeutic work. It's about starting to build our own toolbox to help shift the mindset, to help really having self-regulatory tools, and be able to finally move forward rather than being stuck in the past, stuck what has happened. So the focus, and I think that's very important to understand, it's not going to be like an educational kind of workshop where you learn about narcissists and narcissistic abuse, because to be honest, I don't care about them at all. This is really about the recovery and practical tools that you can use yourself. But if you are a therapist or a coach who works with abuse survivors, you can actually teach them to your clients as well. And it's really very specifically designed to help narcissistic abuse survivors move forward, change their story, break the trauma bonds, and really like kickstart, their recovery.
Okay. So simply, if it's possible to do this simply, what is narcissistic abuse? Because it's a term that's thrown around so frequently these days.
And most of the time, it's not what it's made out to be, because as you just said, it's become like this big label, which unfortunately is very, very often nowadays used out of context. So now all of a sudden, everybody who's hurt somebody's feelings is labeled a narcissist, or they don't agree with us, or not everybody who cheats is a narcissist. Not everybody who upsets us is a narcissist. There is so much more to it. So narcissistic abuse is actually emotional and psychological abuse on the most sophisticated level. So we are talking about something really serious here, which then also makes it really challenging, right? Because when we overuse a label or a term like that, people get tired of it, right? And it just really washes out the actual meaning, and that's to the detriment of actual narcissistic abuse survivors, because it becomes just like this throwaway thing. Narcissistic abuse, real narcissistic abuse, is incredibly serious. It's incredibly detrimental to the mental health, physical health of the survivor, and that's why we need to talk about it still, obviously, but we need to talk about it in the right way. So when I talk about narcissistic abuse, it's emotional and psychological abuse on the most sophisticated level, as I already said. And it really is emotional blackmail. It is a very tactical erosion of identity. It is systematic brainwash. So there is a lot of manipulation. There is a lot of calculated, manipulation going on, and that has an incredible detrimental impact on the mental health of the survivor, because you literally think you're losing your mind. So just because somebody breaks up with someone and you are experiencing heartbreak, which obviously hurts, it's incredibly unpleasant, it's painful, that is not the same. It doesn't present the same as somebody who comes out of a narcissistic relationship, because when somebody has experienced narcissistic abuse, they will be experiencing complex post-traumatic stress symptoms.
So is narcissistic abuse then, is that with intent. That's basically what you're talking about. It's done deliberately.
Well, I mean, it depends, because narcissists are on a spectrum, right? And there are people that exhibit narcissistic tendencies, narcissistic behaviors. And then the higher up you go on the spectrum, the more calculated it becomes, you know, the more intentional it becomes. So at the bottom end, you have people that only, in quotation marks, only have narcissistic behaviors, whereas on the far end, on the other side, you know, you have psychopath, you have sociopath. So that's a very different person you deal with. However, the damage that's caused is the same. And at the end of the day, it actually, because I get asked that question a lot, do they do that on purpose? It doesn't matter, because the end result is the same, right? Yes. And the main issue is the lack of self-awareness, because they do what they do without even the capability of reflecting back what their behavior does. And whether it's intentional or whether it's a coping strategy or whatever it may be, the behavior is unacceptable, period. Right?
Gotcha. And the effects of it. Mm-hmm. What are the effects? You've said psychological and emotional.
I mean, the impact is, it's emotional, it's mental, it's physical, it's spiritual. Narcissistic abuse really attacks on every single level of our being. And I will be talking more about that at the conference as well, because there is like a whole set of symptoms which are very typical for narcissistic abuse survivors, where you can actually identify. And I think it's really important for hypnotherapists, therapists, coaches to really understand when somebody comes for help, because most likely they don't have the language yet to explain what's going on for them. So the impact is really, as I already said, detrimental to the mental health. There is a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of depression, there is a lot of overwhelming emotions, those kind of things. So we are really dealing with an emotionally very unstable person. And there is also, it has such a huge impact on just the day-to-day life, because just normal day-to-day activities, tasks become impossible, because the body is in such a high alert, in such a fight or flight mode, that, you know, it is almost impossible to lead a normal life. I remember I actually just going to the grocery shop, for me, that was like a 2-hour discussion with myself every time, to even get myself to go out and just get some food, you know.
I remember you telling me that. And I mean, one of the questions that I had was, you know, a little bit about your own story and how you're qualified to deliver this, because you've lived this and you actually designed this specifically for yourself, really, and then subsequently other people who have who you've come across, who you want to help.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a specific topic, right? Unless it has happened to you, you just don't understand. Your brain doesn't have the capacity to understand the horrors that narcissistic abuse survivors experience. So I'm a survivor of narcissistic abuse myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I do. And I just got so frustrated with the lack of results that I was getting from my weekly, you know, talk therapy. Yeah. And because if you put your time and your money and your tears and your efforts into something, you want to see changes. And I was so committed to getting better, but you know, after months, there was nothing that changed. And I got really frustrated with that. And when I told my therapist about it, you know, when I addressed it, she said, well, unfortunately, that's how your life is now. And it's something you need to accept, and we need to find ways to manage it. And I was at a point in my life where I couldn't have promised you I'd still be around tomorrow. So it wasn't something I just could accept. And that's when I, you know, went out there to find something that would reverse the damage as effectively as it was caused. Because, I mean, obviously I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew that something had happened to me that turned me into this mess. So if it goes one way, surely it has to go the other way. And that's where then hypnosis came into my life, and NLP. And I basically, you know, found what I was looking for. And then, because I know from firsthand experience that there is a lack of support, effective support that's available, I decided to, really build it specifically for the purpose of narcissistic abuse recovery. I actually don't do anything else. It's all I do. Right. And and that brings me here now.
Okay, that's taking your skills, and then that's helping other therapists around the world be able to do that. So who is this for? Is this for therapists?
So the survivors? Both. The training is for survivors and for therapists. As I already said earlier, the survivors need practical tools, because trauma isn't something that we can just talk away. We can't just rationalize away. It doesn't matter how much we talk about it, how much we analyze it.
Yeah, as hypnotherapists, we get trauma. You can't
exactly, right? And that's why it's very important for the survivors to start building their practical toolbox. And but also for the therapists, for the medical professionals, for the coaches, for the healers, they also need to be able to provide the tools to their clients to see them through the other side. Because, especially when someone calls themselves a trauma-informed practitioner, it is part of being trauma-informed to actually have the tools available to come out the other side, right? That's really important. And that's why basically everything I do is really for survivors, but also for the professionals, because one need the tools and the others need the tools to pass them on.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the approaches? Just briefly, because obviously you're going to cover this in the workshop, but very briefly.
Yeah, well, the some of the tools, you mean?
Yeah.
So it's a blend of various different modalities. So there will be some NLP inspired modalities in there, some transactional analysis, hypnosis, havening techniques, some things I came up with myself, energy work. And that's the beautiful thing about it, right? Because there are so many different tools. It's basically, I'm going to dish out a buffet of the tools that I have, and you can go and you can try them out, and you like them and you put them in your toolbox and you share them, you use them, and everything that didn't resonate just yet, you just come back later, because everybody's at a different stage of their journey anyway. And it's really like a buffet, and everybody can take what they like, how much they like, and so it's all very practical. It also is an introduction into various different modalities. Hypnosis, obviously, is a big part of it as well. And I'm always encouraging everybody to just be really curious. And I think this workshop will really tickle that curiosity, because it's a blend of so many different modalities. And then if something really resonates, we can go away and, learn more. So
okay, so you don't need to be a havening expert or an NLP expert or
nothing.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you have a strategy for recovery, obviously. You have a 5-step strategy, which you'll be covering in that. So what is it that the attendees will learn? You've probably addressed it, but just in summary, like, what is it they're going to learn about narcissistic abuse? What it is.
No, not in a workshop, in my talk. Yes.
In your talk, yes.
The talk is the educational.
So you got to come both to the conference and the workshop. Right, Grant, we got that now.
No, but the thing is, the reality is that a lot of narcissistic abuse survivors, they have an incredible in-depth knowledge about narcissists and narcissistic abuse and what it means. And, they know all the red flags. They know exactly how a narcissist takes. It's part of the recovery. In the early days, every narcissistic abuse survivor's obsessed about learning and understanding, because we are brainy people, right? We need to kind of come to terms and really intellectually understand what has happened to us.
We're like talk therapy.
However, there is a time when you know everything you need to know. And I'm not saying everything there is to know, because it's such a big topic now, especially on social media. Somebody comes up with something new every single day.
Yeah, of course.
It's irrelevant. So there is a point where you have all this in-depth knowledge, but actually you're still struggling with your mental health. And that happens to every single narcissistic abuse survivor. So the workshop is really for everyone who basically can already write a PhD on the topic anyway, but are still struggling, are still compromising their quality of life, are not living in an authentic way, are not living in a free way because, we need to, I have a word missing. We need to, oh my God, I actually have a word missing. Avoid, that's the word. We need to avoid triggers, like those kind of things, right? When you're still in an activated state. So what oftentimes happens is that then a narcissistic abuse survivor will really compromise their quality of life. It gives the illusion that you are actually better because, you're not being activated, but what's really happening in here is that you remove yourself from triggers. So the workshop is really, as I said, for survivors who basically already have the theory down and who are ready to now build their toolbox and really start moving forward on the healing journey. And then also for the practitioners to enhance their own toolbox.
And to be able to support these people when they come rather than
exactly.
Okay, cool. So there's no prerequisites then for attending once you're a hypnotherapist, or if you are already suffering as a consequence of narcissistic.
Yeah, like there's absolutely no qualifications needed, and it's really like a learning by doing kind of workshop.
Gotcha. It's CPD accredited?
The one-day one is not. The 2-day one is. So if actually we have people interested in a CPD accreditation, which would be a 15-hour accreditation, they can reach out to me. If we get like a minimum of 6, we can do the CPD training. I'm happy to provide a CPD training. If not, we just stick with the 1 day, because I just thought it's more accessible, to people. Don't have to worry about travel and accommodation and stuff like that. But if the interest is there, I'm more than happy to do the CPD training.
Cool. So it is on the 7th of April. It's only 5 weeks away today, actually, in the Clayton Hotel in Liffey Valley. How much is it?
197 euros, I think. Early bird.
Yeah, early bird. That's it.
Yeah.
And really, this is for both individuals and for therapists. It's going to expand people's toolkits, and it's going to give people personally tools to recover and to help themselves to recover. And secondly, it's going to help therapists then help people who are survivors of narcissistic.
Absolutely. And I'm super excited actually running this particular workshop. It's based on my 28-day self-care challenge. So usually it's like a 28-day group coaching program. And the tools, they are so simple, but so powerful. And I'm all about gentle, but effective, and there are just so many things that once we become aware of it, we can just do. And it makes such a huge difference in how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about the world, how we get up in the morning, how we see ourselves in the mirror, like all those kind of things. And those things seem to be unreachable for somebody who's in the midst of their narcissistic abuse journey, when actually in reality it's so much easier to get out of it than it's made out to be. And that's what those tools are designed to do. And it actually is quite fun as well, because once we realize how much power we hold and how quickly we can make changes, really positive, visible, tangible changes, then that's where the healing journey becomes exciting, right? Because in the beginning, it's super scary. You don't even know what you're doing there. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's possible. But then once you really start to collect those practical tools, try out different approaches, that's when healing actually becomes fun. And that's why I'm really excited to run this workshop.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, the workshop has just appeared on screen, just by magic, because I'm getting the hang of this stuff eventually. And if anyone has any questions, if they want to contact you in advance with email or whatever, just to get some clarification,
Absolutely.
The email address is there, Ronnie@rockandrollcoach.com.
No, rockandroll.coach, actually.
Rock and roll.
Are you right?
Yeah,
right.
I got it spelled right. Yeah. Okay. You going to explain that email?
I have to explain the email?
You don't have to, but yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, you know exactly what you get when you send a message to that email.
Absolutely, yeah. No, absolutely. I meant the origin of that email, rockandroll.coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your standard Gmail or anything like that.
No, but I'm Rock and Roll Coach Ronnie, right? And
yeah, that's it.
I have a trademark on it, and then I happen to see that .coach, so I basically just created my name as an email address.
That's your background in the music. That's your background in the music industry, yes.
Exactly.
There you go. Now, that's the answer, if anyone, for the question that people were about to ask and didn't. Okay. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much. I think you've covered everything. And for people who'll be watching this afterwards, there's been a few, but there hasn't been any questions, but there's been loads of people jumping on. And if there are any questions, then you can either email me or Ronnie, mine is john@irshiptherapyconference.ie. I'll pass them on if I can't answer them myself. And otherwise you can email Ronnie. But yeah, the conference workshop is on the 7th of April in the Clayton Hotel, Liffey Valley, and it is 197.
That's right.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.